Got very good arms.
He didn't fall? Inconceivable. You keep using the word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. First time in a long time. We got Perch from the Comics by Perch YouTube and podcast here on the channel. How you doing, Perch?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back on. Sorry, it's been a while.
Now I know you've got some moving and shaking going on. You got a comic book you're fulfilling right now. A lot of stuff going on over there on the Perch side of the world.
It's busy. Yeah, no, it's very busy. And definitely want to thank all. I know some of your viewers came in to help support that comic book. So thank you for everybody who did that. That was really awesome.
Absolutely. The first of many successes, I imagine. Now, there's some other successes going on within the comic book industry. Specifically, we've talked about manga and how it's different from DC and Marvel and traditional U.S. comic books. But they've certainly showed a blueprint. And I want to talk about, specifically DC and Marvel, what they can do with this 80 years of history and product that they've built up, not with, just these characters. You have these big event stories. You have, this continuity that's all out there. How could they actually leverage that to the market that we have today? We have an ever-changing market. Digital certainly has its own niche. We've got, people coming in, buying things more in like volumes and stuff. And I had a couple of ideas myself. I definitely know that you're going to have some for this. Like one of the things I thought that DC, we'll just go with DC as an example, what they could do with a character like Batman, because you have so much history and it is confusing. There's no beginning point. Why don't they just start doing volumes of a smaller size, cheaper paper Batman digest that basically tell the history of Batman?
Sure. A new artwork or original or
just original stuff.
Yeah. I think that would be very smart. I think it'd be easy to do. I don't know why they don't do that. I mean, so the comic companies, the publishers, will put out trades, they'll put out omnibuses, they'll put out everything, but they're ignoring the super obvious, which is just a 6x9 tankobon format. Literally copy exactly the format manga's doing. Slap in 140, 160 pages. And here's where they have this massive advantage. They have all of this back content. And they can basically put out one of these tankobon volumes every 6 weeks for the next 10 years, just working through Batman, for example, of just and making it, volume 1, volume 2, volume 3.
Yes,
easy to do. And the big pushback I always get when I mention that idea is like, well, today's 2021 fans, those customers, they would never go for 1970s art. And I think that's absolutely incorrect.
Absolutely. Have you never seen Neil Adams like Batman art?
Yeah, it's a very silly idea. It's like, well, people won't understand. Batman uses a telephone back in some of these. Nobody knows what a telephone is anymore. I mean, stuff like that. But what they're forgetting, again, you look at manga. Manga, meanwhile, is very simplistic art, very different in a lot of cases from what U.S. audiences are used to. They're having very complex Japanese traditions and customs in those manga things. I mean, I don't know. Last time I checked, walking around the U.S., we don't have hot spring baths and temples and other things that people are going into. We don't have yokai and a lot of these other mythologies. And yet, people are able to figure that out. It turns out the readers are not stupid. They can work with it. So you're telling me they can adapt to the Japanese rail system, the hot springs, everything else that goes on over there, Japanese culture, but they can't figure out what a telephone is.
Yeah, I mean, I figure once that you got it up to your ear and you're speaking into it and you see someone else is speaking, through the receiver, that you figure out it's a phone.
Yeah, I think you catch on pretty quick.
And it's crazy because you could do some really cool stuff with this where you don't have to do everything. You can go like, okay, we'll start with Batman year 1. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That would be volume 1. And you can say, hey, these are the other things that are around this that aren't in the volume. If you want more stories from this era, this is where you go find it.
Well, I mean, you can curate it pretty easily by just putting together, 160 pages, black and white. I mean, just as simple as it gets, makes it cheap, and throw it out there and put it in whatever order makes sense to you. You're not confined by anything. You don't have to put the original.
You could do eras. You could do a straight timeline. Absolutely.
Sure. Whatever you want. And put it out there. And again, the amount of the ability to flood the market. This is the key is manga is, a lot of the most popular manga is caught up now. So we're having to wait for the new volumes to get translated and put over here. DC and Marvel as well, but these companies can just plow through this market. They can offer a new huge volume, again, every month for 10 years before they're caught up. They can flood the shelves and completely crowd everything out if they wanted to. And it's just, they don't have to pay additional monies to get this done. It's
and there's so many more places you can put it because of the size and everything. It just fits on a lot of bookshelves and stuff, where a comic book doesn't always do that.
No, absolutely. This is one area where, you could go and you could put a couple of these in grocery stores, just fit right there. I mean, you can put it anywhere. You can get to some more locations to get this done, but it's madness that they don't do this. The price point, just very, very cheap. They're not burning through the market. It helps get people into the comics. Like you said, if you want more adventures, go read over here. And people are begging for it. They would like to know, just, can I have a volume of books on my shelf labeled 1 to 50 in order that tell a bigger story? Just do that.
Absolutely. Do you have any ideas have you been obviously thinking about this problem set as well as I have? Is there any ideas where they could really leverage the print media that they have available to them? They don't need to create something new. They just need to present it differently.
No, I mean, this is the core idea. They've got the material, they've got the content, they have the rights to it. In a very cold and callous way, several of the creators involved in some of these earlier volumes have passed on. So your royalty agreements no longer even matter. I mean, look, that's a very dark way of looking at it. But you have the ability to make a lot of money off this content very easily. This is a assistant editor intern level job of just collecting this. I mean, if you actually go up to the internet,
putting it in an order.
Yeah, to get an order, no problem. This will be extremely easy. But the key to this is, not only do you maximize money, you get to go places with these books that you aren't at now. This exactly reopens the newsstand. And the thing that manga did that I think people don't necessarily understand, or that maybe they don't realize, is manga looked at an opportunity where you had shelves at Walmart and Target and Barnes and Noble and other places where they could go in and start selling into those sources where the traditional direct market isn't. They filled a vacuum and they put content there. And I strongly believe that you went and you took Spider-Man and you did volumes like this. I mean, are you telling me like a 160-page volume of Todd McFarlane Spider-Man art would do poorly against, say, Demon Slayer? I like Demon Slayer. I think it's a great book, but that Todd McFarlane book's gonna kill it.
Well, it's not like the Steve Ditko art was bad or John Romita.
Absolutely. All these artists. I mean,
these are the books that had the best artists forever.
And you've got just decades worth of material to put out there. You don't need to even touch the new stuff. And in many cases, it's sanitized. I mean, this is an area where, because it was sitting under the Comics Code Authority, you naturally have baked in a lot of stories that are going to be not questioned by, say, Walmart or Target to sit on the shelves there. You're not going to have to worry about bat penis or anything else like that if you're diving into that material. I mean, this is an area where that's going to be to your advantage. It's just, there's so many reasons why this is an obvious, the most simple idea you can do. And I mean, in many cases, people make it complicated, say, well, American comics should learn from manga and not put in some of the politics, some of the Easter eggs, some of the other stuff. Sure. I mean, those are fine ideas, but the fastest way to make money and get yourself in the game is literally leveraging your old content.
Absolutely. Another thing that I was thinking, obviously they do have we'll go over to Marvel this time. You got this, the Marvel Unlimited app, which has like a curated line and then, limited availability to new comics after a certain date.
Right.
I personally would say on sale date, you get access to it if you have the Marvel Unlimited. But, if you had Disney Plus, give them an account to Marvel Unlimited. Have that be part of the subscription.
Absolutely. I mean, even if you are bundling in, like, pay $1 more, I think you should just package it for free. But I mean, this is all about getting your brand out there in more places. What are you doing? You want to maximize the $6-7 off Marvel Unlimited for, I don't know, what are the subs that are subscribing? I guarantee you they're under 25,000 subs to Marvel Unlimited. I guarantee you that number is small. And
there's 18 million subscribers to Disney Plus. You give them an account, what percentage you're actually going to use it, maybe 10%. Even if it was 10%, that's an enormous amount of potential new readers. They get in there, they find out they like comic books and reading more about these characters that they have limited access to because you can only make so many movies.
That's exactly right. And this is going to help. It's going to help promote their films. It's going to help promote their IP. It's going to get people who do see this some of them will migrate to the shops. And think about it this way. If you have 100 million subs to Disney Plus, just as an example, and 5% of those are going to convert over and actually open this Marvel Unlimited app. Just 5%, tiny amount. And 1% of those will actually then go to a comic store and buy something. You may say, those are very tiny numbers, except that alone
could dwarf the entire comic buying industry right now.
Correct. That tiny little amount would be the highest selling comic by a mile today if you had that kind of thing. And it's that system that you're describing would happen. And then, frankly, that's the only way you're going to get digital going in any meaningful way right now is you're going to have to bundle it. You're going to have to push it to this new audience. You're going to have to give them something a little bit for free so that they can build this bigger business long term. That is what Manga did.
Yeah, and you think about it, they're introducing all these new characters, Riri Williams, Kate Bishop. We got this new version of Captain America that we've seen just a little bit, Falcon Cap. If that was bundled into Disney Plus and you see the advertisement like, oh, there's this Kate Bishop Hawkeye, is that a character? And you go into your Marvel Unlimited app that's part of your Disney Plus package. You go in there and read there and you're familiar with the character. Maybe you like the character before the series even comes out.
Absolutely. You watch the Falcon Winter Soldier show. You get to the end of that episode. A little tag comes up, say, read the comic. Click here. It's going to open on your tablet app. Open up Marvel Unlimited. You've got some comics that have been collected that show Sam Wilson as Cap or whatever, just something vaguely related to that show. It's fine. And you have a little ad there that says, click here to order the hardcover off Amazon or your local comic shop, whatever deal you want to make. Again, will everybody do that? No. A tiny amount of people will do that. But that tiny amount of people that would do that based on that audience is dramatically higher than what we have going on in comics right now.
Yeah, but it's all this kind of short-term thinking, I think, with that. I'm like, well, we don't want to lose the Marvel Unlimited subscribers. You still have Marvel Unlimited subscribers that don't have Disney Plus. But think about the amount of more revenue that you're going to generate once you tap people into these other sources, because trades aren't cheap. One trade is more than in Marvel Unlimited subscription.
No, it's a silly way of thinking because one, I would be willing to bet that the majority of Marvel Unlimited subscribers are Disney Plus subscribers. I would be willing to bet that the majority of crossover is there. But outside of that, you're protecting a tiny subscriber base, an insignificant subscriber base right now. And you're also protecting one that cannot grow. So basically, in order to get a new Marvel Unlimited subscriber, somebody's got to get really interested in the comics, come into it, go find Marvel Unlimited, which is a bit of a challenge itself, download it, pay for it, everything else. As opposed to bundled into Disney Plus, you have people then coming into your service and adopting it from all over the place. People who have no interest in comics that are coming in because they want access to the Disney movies is now part of your ecosystem. You can now start marketing to them. You're never going to see those customers if you're doing it on your own. It's a very foolish way to do it.
Yeah, you think there are people out there that, these are their favorite, fictional characters, and they've never actually read them. And once you get tapped into this stuff, you become a collector yourself. You want that first appearance, or you want the old absolute edition of that favorite story that you ever had, and really, you want to start collecting these things. So there's so much out there that Marvel and DC, they don't really have to do a lot of work. Just because they have so much material available to them where they could really leverage the market and go and fill in these gaps and start being competitive on different levels than just in the direct market.
The problem that you have is that they've got to get over their own bad information. And it really is, I'm not making up, every time this comes up, the answer is always, well, new readers would never go for that art. Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko. I mean, we all like it as comic fans, but new readers, they can't. They don't even know what to do with Jack Kirby. It looks like crap to them, so they would never go for that.
That beautiful Gil Kane art just doesn't stand the test of time.
Yeah, it's. They are so convinced of that the art just doesn't translate, And on top of that, the stories like, look at the X-Men, they're wearing bell bottoms in the Dark Phoenix saga. And no kid would ever want to read that, because who knows what bell bottoms are. That's it. Meanwhile, over at Netflix, they're raking it in with nostalgia shows like Stranger Things, or Korean shows like Squid Game, which are, again, completely different world and different culture being described. And somehow the stupid Americans are able to figure that one out. But in poor comics, it's like, oh, I can't. That Gene Colan, I don't know. I don't know what that Bob Layton's art looks so foreign to me. I can't possibly understand it.
It's crazy. You'd think the executives and the leadership and even the creators would have more faith in the history that they're working on. That these older creators and the things that have all being mined and being brought up to the big screen in television and streaming, still hold. They still stand up, because they absolutely do. In a lot of cases, they're better.
If I'm some junior editor at DC right now, I would be pitching hard to just like, you know what, put me in charge of this for a year. I'm going to build this business. Just leave me alone. I'm just going to collect it. I'm going to put this together. I don't even need one assistant, be the two of us. And just you rate me at the end of the year with the amount of money I'm able to bring in. I guarantee you that would be the most powerful person in that company within a year. The amount of money is huge.
Marvel would be so much easier, because they've had a lot fewer Elseworld stories that eventually got kind of tied into continuity like Batman did. But you could do Spider-Man or X-Men so easy.
Yeah, no, I mean, Spider-Man is the easiest in the world. And I can't stress enough, if you have this relentless release strategy of putting something out every 4 to 6 weeks, a new volume, you've got tons of material to do that. And places like Walmart and Target, that's what they need in order to have their right now they're looking at shelves or mangas selling out. They're looking at empty shelves, and they're really
they have like little carts that they have to keep in, so they're replacing the manga daily.
Yeah, and if you come out and say, yeah, we've got a product too, and we're going to refresh it every month, and it's going to be the same $6.99, same format. You don't need to change your shelves around. Spider-Man, there's a new Spider-Man movie coming out. I mean, you did sell insane amounts of that. I do wonder, and just to be fair, how much of this is people do not want to be shown up by the old guys, that they don't, the people who are currently making the new comics do not want to get their asses handed to them by books that were done 30 years ago. I suspect there's an element of that.
Volume 1 of Spider-Man sells like 5 million copies.
Yeah. No, I think there's an ego piece to it for sure.
Absolutely. So I do want to say thank you very much to Perch for joining me today. Kind of looking at some of the more positive outlook. There are absolutely ways that Marvel and DC can leverage what they have and go and compete. They just gotta. It's not even thinking outside of the box. It's just looking at what you have and how you can use it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.